Alright, so I was just moving a bunch of stuff out of the greenhouse and into the yard. So behind me I have 2 mangoes. One is a buttercream over here, and I bought it from the nursery. It's in good health. I've had it outside for a little bit now. The other was a coconut cream that went back to the ground last year, even though I had it in the greenhouse. I'm not sure what the problem was. And its rootstock has grown back significantly. So I'm about to make some insurance for myself by grafting this buttercream onto this rootstock here. And what I'm going to do is put one of them in the ground outside as kind of a little test, and we'll see if we can keep one alive. I can give it some frost protection, but yeah. So right before everything buds out on the buttercream here, we're going to take a scion off. We're gonna lop this down a little bit, and we're gonna stick the scion on there. All right, so I was gonna do some grafting for one of my buddies, but with the corona thing going around, COVID-19, I'm keeping it safe distance. So I had like a little grafting kit here, but basically I'm gonna use some pruners, some alcohol for disinfecting if you can find any, just a Sharpie to label with, some parafilm or budding tape, regular plant tape, and a nice grafting knife. So I'm going to disinfect my tools first. Just going to put it on this paper towel. Pruners are nice and clean. Okay, so this is a nice little setup I have here, not only for the video aspect, but it's nice to have everything right here so I can see what's going to fit the best. Ideally, what I want to do is grab the scion close to the same size as the rootstock. And all of these right now are budding out, so they're really ideal candidates. This one's a little weaker. I would use some of these thinner ones if I had a thinner rootstock. I was contemplating on grafting on to one of these, but I'm just going to take it down. I'm not going to take it all the way down. I'm going to take it about maybe halfway, because there is a lot of growth. I am probably going to take it a little further up than a nursery might usually do, just because I have a lot of healthy rootstock, and worst case, if it gets attacked again, maybe the rootstock will survive and we can go to a plan B. So right now I'm just eyeing things up. And ideally, this one's nice, I'll show you in a sec, because it's going completely straight. It's not bowed out or anything. And I'm gonna say, as long as it lines up okay with the diameter, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna nip that. So I've got something nice to work with here. And basically, to prepare it, you're just gonna take off all the leaves. This is an ideal time because we haven't started budding out yet, but we do have buds to work with. So now, yes, this looks like the perfect size. I'm gonna go ahead and take it down right here, straight across. So that's the old one. Let me bring this a little closer in. And actually, wow, that couldn't be more perfect. What I'm gonna do though is take this down a little bit, like so. And I'll show you guys real quick how I'm gonna prepare the budwood. Basically, we're gonna get some parafilm here. I'm kind of judging where I'm gonna make my cleft wedge, which is about right here, so I'm gonna wrap up and all the way up to the bud. Sometimes I make a really skinny wedge, but with the mango here, I want it kind of stout. So start preparing it here. And we're just wrapping up. Making sure we're not leaving any gaps. You may have to go over this bud a few times because it's kind of, yeah. Just want to cover up any gaps. We're going to come back around, cover up any gaps tightly, but not so tight that you're going to disrupt anything. Coming back down and around, and voila. Just checking for gaps, and I see one tiny gap I'm going to rectify. Yep, it's just that one. In case you guys didn't notice, this parafoam's really nice because it can, once the buds push through, they'll push right through it. But it does seal in moisture and all. Alright, so we're back to square one, making sure everything's going to line up okay. And it will. So I'll come in and show you guys how I'm going to make that wedge. On this one, we're basically, let me see here. Yeah. And the diameter this way matches up pretty well, so I'm going to make my wedge accordingly. Let me see here. That matches up very well. So I'm going to make my wedge here just by pressing firmly in the middle. And like I said, I'm not going to go down too far. That should be good. We're going to make our wedge like so. There's as few cuts as possible. Just going to make sure it's nice and flat. I'm going to taper that down just a tiny bit off camera. We're going to pry it with our knife here. Make sure things line up. Mango is pretty cool because there's a lot more cambium to work with, I've noticed. Oh man, look at that fit. And so it's not 100%. There's maybe like a millimeter off, but we do want to make sure at least one of the sides is right on. And we're going to do that with this side here. Cool. Before I go ahead and wrap this, I'll show you guys a close-up of what we have going on. There's our wedge right there, and a nice tight fit. Alright guys, so now we can start wrapping, and I'll bring the camera in a little closer so you can see what I've got going on. Okay, so we're going to take a nice hefty amount of regular plant tape. We're going to tie it right below the wedge. Okay, stakes in my way a little bit, and then, yeah, it's a little bit necessary, but once you get it started, it's a little bit easier. We're going to come up and around with a good amount of pressure to ensure nice contact between the cambium layers. Give it a nice little tug every time I come around. There we go. Be careful with your scion, of course. Okay, now we're coming around the top just a little bit. And make sure all that's sealed. Alright, now we're going to come back down. time still putting a little more pressure on there, making sure there's good contact. Okay, do one more. Now tie it up. And go ahead and label that buttercream. Okay, I'm going to keep these leaves on, but I'm going to take the leaves below off. Still give the plant just a little bit to photosynthesize if it needs to, but we don't want it to start branching out below the rootstock. We want that growth going up, so you know it should bypass it and we should be all right. Let me bring you guys in and show you what this looks like. Okay, so we tied it up. Everything's pretty tight there, and soon we should get some growth pushing out of the budwood on top there. All right guys, so we're here a week and a half later, and I wanted to show you the progress on the mango real quick. All right, so as you guys can see, it's been a week and a half and we have a nice push of growth there. Everything looks good. This is the joint, just if you guys want to see it. And everything's nice and green, looking really good. So as you can see, it has been pushing out some growth. I'm feeling pretty good about this, seeing that it's only been a week and a half and we have this much growth. But I'll be sure to keep you guys updated. All right guys, so that's gonna do it for today's video. Make sure and leave comments if you have any input or anything to say about this, or if you have some experience yourself you'd like to share with everyone else. And consider subscribing if you haven't already, because I do have a lot of grafting tutorials and things of that nature. Anyway guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.